this video, I'm keeping it all the way real about the good, the bad, and the ugly of living in the far west side of San Antonio, and we're getting into it right now. What's going on, family? This is Greg Foster with Market Boss at eXp Realty right here in San Antonio, Texas. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living, working, eating, chilling, and playing in San Antonio, Texas, then click the subscribe button and tap that little bell so you're notified every time we drop a new video. And my team and I, we're getting calls every single day from folks just like you looking into the Alamo City. So if you're thinking about moving or relocating anywhere in the San Antonio area, then give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. However you want to get a hold of us, we've got your back when moving to San Antonio, Texas. Now, my family and I, we've been living in the far west side of San Antonio for the last 6 years, and even though we really dig it, it ain't for everybody. So I'm giving you 5 pros and 5 cons. Let's get into it. Pro number 1 is that everything is just so new. In the last decade, the far west side of San Antonio has been one of the fastest growing parts of the city. And in that time, it's gone from being on the far edge of San Antonio and a bunch of bare land to now being a vibrant community with lots of shopping, new schools, several new master plan developments with literally dozens of builders to choose from. Everything here is just bright and shiny like it's never been used before, and in the last 6 years that my family and I lived here, we've seen shops, restaurants, businesses, strip centers all come in to serve and to start taking care of the people that are moving out this way. And that leads right into one of the things that far west folks really enjoy about living out here. Our community has everything that we need for an amazing quality of life. And if you spend any amount of time out here, it becomes really clear that everything in this side of town was developed with an eye and a vision for the future to make this one of the most in-demand, most popular suburbs that you're going to find anywhere in San Antonio. And it's working. People have been moving out here like crazy for the laid-back, more suburban lifestyle, and it was that lifestyle in particular that drew my family out this way about 6 years ago. Now, even though I love living out in the far west side of San Antonio, I can appreciate that a newly developed area isn't for everybody. Which brings us to con number 1. Everything is new. Now, if you're into a more established area with mature landscaping, homes with character, and if you're looking for a little more flair in your architecture, San Antonio has a ton of amazing neighborhoods that'll give you exactly what you're looking for. But the far west side ain't one of them. When my team and I conduct our initial home buyer consultation, we always make it a point to ask questions like, what's important to you about the next community you live in? What are you looking for in a neighborhood? What do you want to stay away from? And when we get answers like, I really don't want something that's like cookie cutter, I'd like a little more space between my neighbors. Or, I like to spend time outside and some shade would really be nice. We know right off the bat the far west side probably isn't for you. You know, it'd be really nice if in new subdivisions they could build the houses in between the trees, but they don't. Growing up in Kansas, I had this massive shade tree in my front yard that I used to climb all the time, and I might have fell out of that thing maybe once or twice. And that's one of the things that I really miss about living out here in the far west side. The first thing builders do in these new communities is they cut everything down before they put in the houses. It ends up looking like the surface of the moon out here, and then you get these little baby trees and bushes in your landscaping package, so there's really not any shade to be seen unless you've got like a covered patio on your back porch. And I really feel sometimes for people whose back porches face south, you can't really spend any time out there in any of these Texas summers without frying like a piece of bacon. And speaking of Texas heat, make sure you water them baby trees, because apparently I didn't water mine enough and it ended up dying on me last summer. Matter of fact, I still got a hole in my front yard. Don't judge me. Pro number 2 is affordability. One of the things that I really like about San Antonio is that most every zip code and neighborhood has a really wide range of pricing. And the far west side is a really good representation of that. Out here we have everything from entry-level first-time buyer type homes to mid-range homes for move-ups and even high-end homes that are twice the median sale price for the city. Whether you're just starting out and you're looking for that very first home that you can own and be comfortable in, or if you're nearing retirement and you're looking for something with low maintenance and great amenities, there's definitely something for everyone out in the far west side of San Antonio. And speaking of amenities, you're going to find a lot of options in every single price point out here. Most of the neighborhoods here, they have their own little parks, playgrounds with walking trails, along with rec centers with pools, gyms, and even sports courts. The HOAs here also do a really good job with community activities like food trucks, outside workouts, family movie night in the park, and just a lot of other community activities to bring the neighbors together. And when my team team and I talk to folks from the East Coast or the West Coast or even more expensive markets, they just really can't believe how inexpensive and affordable it is to buy a home out in the far west side of San Antonio. And I'm not just talking about existing homes either. There's still several communities that are actively building right now with brand new homes. The incentives that the builders offer out here are beyond amazing, and they tend to run different specials throughout the year depending on what their inventory looks like. We've seen them do everything from offering appliance packages and home automation systems to buying down your interest rate or paying on your closing costs, and even giving thousands of extra dollars for additional upgrades on the home. It's almost like these builders are literally throwing money at people to buy brand new homes out here. Which brings us to con number 2, construction. Now, I'm the type of guy that really enjoys my peace and quiet. Just ask my kids. When my family and I moved to San Antonio in the summer of 2014, we found this beautiful home that was only 5 years old. It backed right up to a green belt, and at the time, it was literally on the far extreme edge of San Antonio. Wasn't nothing back there. Until 3 months later when they started cutting in a brand new subdivision right behind me. There's a saying about all the construction out there in different parts of San Antonio. It'll be beautiful when it's finished. Fortunately, a lot of the far west side is already built out, but if you're considering a new build in a brand new community, there's a few things to consider when living in a construction zone. Clearing bare land disturbs the wildlife in the area, and you might have to keep an eye out for critters. When they cut that new subdivision in behind us, we started seeing these little gecko lizards run around everywhere, and then there were like a few small garter snakes that I'd pick up and kind of throw back off into the greenbelt. I mean, those things are pretty harmless. The only time I really ever got freaked out was this one time when I hadn't cut my grass in like 3 weeks. Don't judge me, okay? I was really busy selling a lot of houses that summer. I finally got back there with the lawnmower to get it looking right, and about halfway through it, this ginormous furry tarantula about the size of my hand starts crawling up the fence to get to the other side. I was like, woo! I'm out of here. I ain't really want to cut the grass anyways. I legit forfeit my backyard to that spider, and ever since then, I've been having somebody else cut my grass every Monday. Now, I promise y'all, I ain't trying to scare nobody from living out here, okay? That only happened one time, and it was like 6 years ago. Ever since then, it's been cool. Once all land clearing was done, we never had any issues with critters after that, and then if you're living in an area that's definitely more interior anyways, and if all the homes around you've already been built, then it's not something you have to worry about either. Pro number 3 is great schools. The far west side of San Antonio is located in the North Side Independent School District, which is one of the largest and highest rated school districts in the entire state of Texas. And when you're thinking about raising a family and where you want your kids to go and the kind of environment you want to bring them up in, for my wife and I, at least for us, that was a really big factor in why we made the far west side of San Antonio our home. All of the elementary schools here, the middle schools, the high schools, they've all got exemplary ratings. And like much the rest of the area, many of the schools here were built in the last several years. Great schools are always a cornerstone of having a great community, and it's just been really interesting to see the students, the parents, staff, faculty, all the teachers come together and forge an identity in a lot of these new schools so that the rest of San Antonio know what it's like to live in the far west side. And if you're looking for anything to do with sports, we have many of the sports complexes for the district right here in our backyard. The Northside Tennis Center is right next to O'Connor High School, and it's where all of the games, tournaments, and competitions are held in the district. Just inside Loop 1604, you're going to find the Dub Ferris Athletic Complex, and that's where all of the high school district football games are played. And right next to that is the Northside Sports Gym, and that was just completed a couple of years ago, so it's a brand new state-of-the-art basketball arena. And it's also home to the Northside Natorium and Swim Center, which is the largest aquatic center in the Alamo City. Now, because of the demand for NISD schools and just the overall growth of the far west side in particular, that brings us to con number 3, overcrowding and redistricting. Many of the schools out here are well over capacity and have had to resort to bringing in portables to house the growing student population because of all the growth that we've seen out here in recent years. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love our school district, okay? But the portables are a little less than ideal. Our oldest is a sophomore in high school, and she's never had to have classes out in the portables, but our youngest spent her 5th and 6th grade years out in the portable for all of her main classes, while a lot of the electives that she had were actually located inside the main building. So there was a little traffic back and forth between the two, which is kind of weird when it's raining, and just, you know, once it gets super hot outside, that's kind of hard to deal with too. Fortunately, brand new homes aren't the only thing under construction out here. And a number of the new elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools are in various stages of completion right now. And while that's definitely going to take the pressure off of a lot of the current campuses that we have out here, many of the families out here, ours included, are still waiting for the new boundary maps to come out for the redistricting so that we can see to which campuses our kids are going to be going. So even though there's a little bit of uncertainty out here, no doubt that it's still going to be all the same thing that we've come to expect from our school district. Great schools, great teachers, great curriculum. So I think it's going to be okay. Pro number 4 is that there is so much to do out here. And really, one of the reasons we decided to move out to the far west side is that there's just quick access to all the fun stuff that we like to do out here. SeaWorld and Aquatica are just inside Loop 1604 on the other side of highway out here, and if you're going to live in this area, you really might consider getting an annual pass. We've got annual passes, and it's definitely worth it for like all the savings and discounts you get every time you visit. And while the water park is always a really good time in the summers, SeaWorld in general has lots of parades, concerts, fireworks shows, lots of activities for the family to just come and check out pretty much any time of the year. And it's just a really big draw from families all across the city. We've got some of the latest and greatest movie theaters in San Antonio, and we don't just go there to see movies. These are like full-out entertainment centers. They've got their own cafes, they've got bars in them, restaurants, bowling alleys, arcades. It's really just a cool spot to go and hang out, whether it's before the show or after the show, and you want to spend a day out with the family. If you're into spending time outside, we've got Government Canyon State Natural Park with hundreds and hundreds of acres of land for hiking, biking, trails, camping, walking, pretty much whatever you want to do outside. And on weekends, you usually see trucks with jet skis and boats in tow heading further out west on Culebra Road out towards Medina Lake. And when the sun hits that thing on a really clear day, it's some of the most vibrant blue lake water you've ever seen in your life. And that's just what's right here in the neighborhood. Downtown San Antonio and the Riverwalk are 20 minutes east on Highway 151. And then if you go just about 15 minutes north on Loop 1604, you're going to run into San Antonio's second theme park in the area with Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and some of the best shopping that you're going to find anywhere in the city with the Shops at La Cantera. Only thing though is that if you're going to be out having all this fun and you're going to be out running around, one of the things you kind of have to think about is con number 4, the traffic. Folks been moving out to the far west side of San Antonio like crazy over the last decade. And in the last 6 years that we've been here, it feels like there's probably at least twice as many people from when we first showed up. Traffic along some of the major throughways like Culebra Road and Potranco, they can get pretty backed up right around about rush hour. And at the time that this is being recorded, there's still a handful of roads here and there that are currently under construction to add new lanes to account for all the people moving out here. Fortunately though, a lot of the roads out here have already been expanded to account for a lot of the growth, and rush hour actually got a whole lot better once the 1604-151 interchange was completed just a couple years ago. And speaking of rush hour, that brings us to pro number 5. Jobs. Many of the city's major employers are located right here in far west San Antonio, or they're about a 20 or 30 minute drive away. And a lot of the people that live out this way really enjoy the shorter commute times. We see a lot of military families living out here because of the close proximity to Lackland Air Force Base, along with a lot of folks that are employed in both the oil and gas and the financial services industries. Just inside Loop 1604 in the Westover Hills Business District, you'll find the main operations buildings for institutions like Wells Fargo, Frost Bank, Nationwide Insurance, and just a little further south on 1604, you've also got the main operations building for Citibank as well. The Christus Santa Rosa Hospital employs many of the doctors, nurses, lab techs, and administrative staff that live in far west San Antonio. And if you take a short drive north on Loop 1604, you're only about 20 minutes from the corporate headquarters for both Valero Energy and NewStar Energy. And then just inside Loop 1604 along I-10, you have the corporate campus for USAA and the South Texas Medical Center, which serves as the hub for medical research and innovation for the South Texas region. Now, with so many employers close by, the great schools, and the affordability that I mentioned earlier, it's no wonder that so many people have made the decision to move out to far west San Antonio. And a large part of what drives the affordability in this area is lower property taxes beyond the city limits of San Antonio, which brings us to con number 5. Annexation. Historically, the city of San Antonio has had a fairly aggressive annexation policy, with pulling parts of Bexar County into city limits and increasing property taxes. Over the last 10 years, folks out in the far west side, out in the county, have really enjoyed lower property taxes in the 2% range, which is a pretty solid discount from the 2.7 that's imposed on homes that are within city limits. I think in the back of most people's minds, they know that at some point their neighborhood's going to get pulled into city limits with all of the businesses and the shopping and the rooftops and everything that's going on in the growth out here, and it's actually already started to happen very recently. And while I guess it's not technically a con to get annexed, because at that point then your property tax rate is pretty much the same as everybody else's in San Antonio, the folks that haven't been paying it definitely feel it once it kicks in. Now, if you want to need more information about the far west side of San Antonio or any other community in the area, my team and I, we're getting calls every single day from folks just like you looking into the Alamo City. So if you're thinking about moving or relocating anywhere in the San Antonio area, then give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, however you want to get a hold of us. We've got your back when moving to San Antonio, Texas.